Hey guys, let's look at a couple of things today. We talked about in class graphing lines and graphing equations. Remember the other day we did the equations where I gave you the equation and you had to graph it based off of the slope and the y-intercept. Well, today we're going to look at graphing the writing the equation from the graph itself. I'm going to do a couple with you with the dots, kind of help you out. Remember finding the slope, and then a couple without the dots. Okay, but first off, let's go back and let's remind everyone about Slope Dude's journey. Okay, remember his 4 slopes that he encounters on his journey. Remember, if he's going uphill from left to right, that is a positive slope. And then if he's going downhill from left to right, that is the negative slope. Okay, just follow the contour of the line. We're going left to right. Okay, and then if he goes flat, which we haven't done one of these yet, which we'll be doing these probably Thursday or Friday. The flat line was 0 slope, and then the up and down line was the undefined slope. Okay, remember these two we're going to do next week. Remember though, this one is a horizontal line. Remember the z in horizontal and the z in 0. And then the undefined one is a vertical line. All right, we're going to look at those next week, but right now I want to talk about these two again, positive and negative. We're going to graph these, remember. Looking at some of our things, remember we talked about our rise over our run is still slope. So our definition of slope is still the rise, the change in the y values over the change in the x values. So it's change in y over change in x. Okay, if you can't remember that, go back and look at the other video and kind of watch it, kind of remember, help yourself go back and look at those notes again. Okay, all right, so let's listen what we got. All right, so the first problem I'm given here, I want to graph this equation, y equals 3 over 4x minus 8. Well, the first thing I need to know is I need to know where to start, and we talked about that. We talked about this is our y-intercept. This is our starting point. That means it's where it's going to cross the y-axis, and then we have our slope, which is the number in front of x. I mean, we talked about, we've been doing this all the time. We circle our y-intercept, and we put a box around our slope. Well, remember, I want to do this kind of to help myself out. Well, if I look here, I don't see a negative sign. So just to help myself, I'm going to write down that this should be a positive slope line when I get through. Okay. Also remember that we have rise over run. And remember, the positive sign tells me this run is going to tell me to run to the right once I go up. So let's start with our y-intercept is -8. And the slope is 3 over 4. This is my rise. And again, this is my run. And since it's positive, I should run to the right. Okay, so let's go up here real quick. We're going to start at -8. We're going to start right here. And then we're going to rise up 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and put us a dot. Well, the next one we can keep going. Remember, slope is a constant rate of change. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 again. All right. So we've got a little routine here. 3 over 4 up 3 over 4. All right, let's try to go again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Well, I can't go anymore, so we got to go the other way. Well, if you look here, you can't go the other way. So we're actually finished with this line, and we can kind of, sorry, that's kind of not straight, but you get the gist. So when I finish, I should be looking at, it should be going uphill. Slope dude should be going uphill, which he is. All right, let's go with our next one. Well, if I look at my next one, I have a y-intercept. Okay, my y-intercept is +7. My slope, now I have a rise, but I'm missing a run, so let's put us a 1 under there. Remember, the only number you can put under a whole number that keeps it the same number is a 1. So my slope is going to be -4 over 1. All right, and since I see the word, if I see this negative sign here, that tells me my line should be going downhill from left to right. It also tells me my run is going to be to the left. All right, so let's graph this. We'll start out with a +7. We're going to go up 4 and left 1. Well, I can't go up 4, left 1, so we got to go the other way. So let's go backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and go right 1. Well, let's keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right 1. And if I look as I keep going, my line is going downhill. That's a terrible line. Let's do it this way. All right, so let's connect it this way. I can draw this and it's a straight line because it should be a straight line since we're graphing linear equations. All right, let's look at them one more. I think there's two more. All right, well here, if you look on this one, I have a slope, but I don't have a y-intercept. Well, if I don't tell you where to start, remember, if it doesn't tell you, then your y-intercept is going to be 0. So there's your y-intercept, and there's your slope. So your slope is going to be 5 over 2. Your y-intercept is going to be 0, and should be a positive slope line since it's going uphill. Okay, since this is not, there's no negative sign here, so it should be going up when we finish. So we should have a rise of 5 and a run of 2, and since it's positive, we're going to run to the right. So we're going to put a dot at our start point at our y-intercept. We're going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Run of 2. Rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. So all I did was just count my rise, count my run, count my rise, count my run. Now that I'm at the top, I'm out of room. I need to go back the other way. So remember, I want to go back to my starting point, or you can just walk it backwards. From here to here is down 5, left 2, down 5, left 2. Well, I can continue that pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. All right, so again, we can draw another line, and we can connect our dots. All right, and we have our straight line again. So this is the graph of 5 over 2x, and since it's a positive slope, I can check, and slope dude is going uphill. The graph is rising from left to right. All right, let's look at this one. Now on this one, we're missing a couple of things. We are missing our fraction. We're missing our rise over our run, and we're missing our y-intercept. Well, remember last time we put in our 0 here. All right, well, what I can do here is, this is a 1 because it's understood to be a 1. Well, this is a rise. Remember, slope is a fraction of rise over run. Well, I have a rise. I need my run. Okay, so we put in 1 over 1 with that one. So now I have a slope. Since I put a box around this, my slope is going to be 1 over 1. And my y-intercept is going to be the number that's not with an x around it. Well, there's my 0. So my y-intercept is 0. And if I look up here, this is a positive slope. There's no negative sign. So it should be going uphill when I finish. Well, start out with our y-intercept. Our y-intercept says, hey, start at the point 0, 0, or 0 on the y-axis. Well, here's 0 right here. Well, now this tells me to rise 1. So remember again, this is rise. This is the run. And remember, since this is positive, we're going to run to the right. So up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, and just continue that pattern all the way across and go all the way across the grid or the coordinate plane until you're finished. Well, when you get run out of room, we come back here and we go the opposite direction. So down 1, left 1, and we follow that same pattern all the way across until we get every dot that we can put on the coordinate plane there, and then we're going to connect it with our line. Okay, so this is the equation of a line that passes through the origin. Y equals x is my equation that passes through the line, the origin. Okay, all right, let's see what we have now. All right, now we're going to change it up a little bit. Now we're going to look at, I'm going to give you the graph, and you're going to write the equation. Well, remember, my equation has to be written in the form of y equals mx plus b, where m is my slope. Okay, remember, this is my slope, and here is b, which is my y-intercept. Remember, that's where it crosses the y-axis. Well, the easiest way to put a dot is to look, where does it cross the y-axis? Well, here my y-intercept is positive 5 because it crosses the y-axis at 5. Okay, now the slope, remember, is rise over run. Okay, so when we're going to start, and you can start at any one of these dots, it doesn't matter. Remember, we learned the graph from the bottom up. So we're going to rise and we're going to run. So my rise is 2, my run is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so my rise is 2, my run is 3. But notice now we ran to the left, so that's going to make this slope negative. And also look, this line is coming downhill left to right, which is negative. So now we can fill in the equation. Let's take out the m, and we're going to put in the slope. We're going to take out the b, and we're going to put in the plus 5. So my equation for this line, let's just write it over here on the graph itself. So this equation will be y equals negative 2/3 x plus 5. So it says we started at 5, we went up 2, left 3, up 2, left 3. So as you can see, we can just follow this pattern, and we can draw as many dots as we want to draw. Okay. All right, let's look at this one. So this one, remember, our equation is y equals mx plus b. Well, here's the b. It crosses at 0. So the y-intercept is 0. All right, let's see what our slope is. Well, here's our rise, here's our run. 1, 2, 3, 4, and our run is 1. So we have slope is 4 over 1, which reduces to 4, and it's going uphill, so it should be a positive slope. So we write our equation, y equals 4x. Now you can write the 0. There's nothing wrong with that. But remember, this is what you're probably going to see on a test or a quiz, is this answer, y equals 4x. Okay, remember the 0 is understood when it goes through the y-intercept. When it goes through the point of origin, it's understood to be a 0. All right, so let's go with the next one. Oh, this has got a bunch of dots, doesn't it? All right, so let's see what we got. So y equals mx plus b. Well, again, this one goes through the origin. So my y-intercept, we're going to identify it first. So my y-intercept is 0. And let's find the slope, which is my rise over my run. Okay, from this point, you can pick any point. Remember, it doesn't matter. I just like to say, let's start at the low dot. So down low to the top one, I went rise is 1, run is 1, and since I ran to the left, my slope is going to be -1. So my equation is y equals -1x plus 0. But remember, we don't have to show this -1 or the 0, so the equation for this one is actually y equals -x. Okay, let's fix this a little bit better, where we can read it just a little bit better. Y equals -x. Okay? All right. So you see, all we're doing is finding the y-intercept and finding some dots. Okay? Well, all right, well, look at this one. Now I don't have any dots, so you got to figure out where to put the dots. Well, the easiest place to put this, the first dot would be right here, because we know it has to cross the y-axis somewhere, right? So my y-intercept in this case is plus 7, and my slope, let's find where we can put some dots. Well, if I start going here, I can't put a dot here. Remember, my dot has to touch a vertical line, a horizontal line, and the blue line all at the same place. Well, really I want them to meet at a corner. All right, so here I can't put one here, here, or here. So let's keep going back this way till we find somewhere we can put one. And it looks like we can put one right here. Because if you look, it's touching this vertical line, it's touching this horizontal line, and it's touching the blue line. Well, let's see what we got here. Let's just see what we got. Can I go any more? Looks like I might can put one right here. Can I put another one? Let's see. Looks like we can put one right here. All right, so now we've got our dots. Let's find out our slope. Remember, slope is, again, rise over run. Well, any one of the dots will work, but I just like to go ahead and start at this bottom dot and go up to the next dot. Well, my rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, and my run is 1, 2, 3. So rise is 4, run is 3, and since I ran to the right, this is going to be positive. But if you'll also look, this line is going uphill, left to right, so that means it's going to be a positive slope. So my equation for this line is taking our y-intercept, taking our slope. I'm sorry, I said it backwards. Taking our slope and our y-intercept and writing it down. So let's plug it in. So y equals 4 over 3x plus my y-intercept. My rise over my run, and there's my y-intercept. Rise, run, y-intercept. So that's the 3 ingredients for graphing these types of problems, writing these equations. All right, I think this is the last one, so let's see what we got. Well, if I look, here's where it crosses the y-axis, okay? So we know the y-intercept is plus 4. All right, let's see where we can put some dots. Well, if I look, this one's really close, but if you'll notice, it doesn't touch at a corner. Here's the corner, it's just a little off, and if I keep going up through this way, I can't put one there, can I? All right, so let's go back this way so we can find. Really close right here again. And again, most of yours is not going to be that close, but just in case it doesn't touch there, I can keep going. What about right here? That looks like a good one. And let's keep going just to be safe. That's really close there. Really close there. This one looks really, really close, and guess what? It is perfect because it touches this vertical line at 8. It touches this horizontal line at 10, and then there's my graph line this way. All right, so we can figure out our slope now of rise over run. Let's do the bottom to the top. Okay, it doesn't really matter, but I like to go, since the way we learned it was rise over run. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is my rise. 1, 2, 3, 4 is my run. Let's just be safe and make sure this is right. So we should be able to do it again. Let's just see if we can do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, you see the rise and the run are the same. So my rise was 7, my run was 4. So we can write the equation now. Y equals, take your slope, 7 over 4x, and then add in your y-intercept, plus 4. Okay? So it's always, just remember, you need 3 things to graph this. Technically 4. You need your y-intercept, you need a rise, you need a run, and you need a direction. Well, now here's the other part with this one, and I almost forgot. Which way are we going here? Well, the line's going downhill, and we ran to the left, so this should also be a negative. So see, if you always go back and check those 4 things, most of the time you won't miss these problems. So now let's go back and check one more time. I have my y-intercept, that's 1. I have a rise, that's 2. I have a run, that's 3. And I have a direction. Okay, so this is telling me it's going downhill. So if you'll take your time and work these that way and just go back and check for those 4 things, you shouldn't have any problem with these. Okay, you guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.